Welcome, everybody. John Zeger. Good morning. How is everyone? Beautiful day here in Colorado. Looks like partly cloudy kind of idea. 65 degrees. Wednesday morning. About 7:45. Just wanted to have a little short podcast today and talk about transformation. Transformation just being change, and people change, right? We transform from one, let's say, personality to another personality. When I was younger in psychology, just getting starting off, many years ago, they basically said that your personality doesn't change. That was just the education back then was that your personality is established and formed when you're just a little person, by the age of 6. And that's what it ends up being all the way through your life. Very important information. And that's what I maintained, and that's what I kind of taught and looked at when I did, all the clinical years that I did. And it seemed to hold true. It was really pretty darn accurate that the personality this little person had, the way they acted, the way they talked, the way they interacted with other people, their behaviors, their actions, all kinds of things, their feelings, their moods. As a little person, if you followed some of these people along as they got older, all of those same characteristics and traits continued to show up throughout their life. And there's a lot of research back then that documented this stuff. It basically said that if you were, what would be some examples? If you were negative, you kind of ended up having this sort of trait or mood going on in your life as you got older, that, you weren't the most positive person in the world, right? If, maybe you were a little bitter or angry at things that other people may not be quite bitter about or angry about, for you, that was a personality trait, and it continued to show up. If you avoided people, avoided interactions with social situations, that kind of trait showed up later on in life. If your thinking was maybe not traditional type thinking, well, that would show up later on in life. You guys get the idea, right? So it's kind of cool to follow that, because it actually held true. And it's only been, the last 20 years or so, maybe 10 more specifically, that people are realizing that their personality doesn't have to be what it was when you were younger. Now to our program, right? It says, contrary to what I was taught and trained growing up, going through graduate programs in psychology and whatnot. It basically says, and it's absolutely true as well, it's 100% accurate. Your personality, how you think, act, and feel is developed by the age 6, right? And what happens is that those neurons start connecting. And they go on to say that by age 35, actually it happens a lot sooner than that, everything becomes hardwired. And that's your personality. It's kind of locked into place. So again, not anything different from way long time ago kind of teaching, education type stuff, right? And so what they're saying now is something completely different. They're saying that you can take apart those neuron connections, right? Prune them apart. And you can rewire new neuron connections. And towards the end of my doing clinical work, which would be, 2008 kind of idea, we were using different terminology, different wording, and some of the things we would say or work on, or specific tasks that we would use to attempt to change personality might be, we need to erase the old thoughts. So we would work with clients individually in therapy on how to erase, and there were all kinds of variety of different tools that we used to try to erase some of the old thinking that was going on in there. Well, another word for thinking was the belief systems, right, and the perceptions. And so we were actually doing the current work of today way back 30, 40 years ago, but under different words, terms. And it was not completely successful, but it had us going down the right track, and we did see some changes. Now, those changes way back when were the transformations of people's personalities. Get it? So now let's bring us up to current time today. We can talk specifically about, Dr. Joe and his incredible work that he's been doing for such a long time. I don't know. How long has he been out there doing this stuff? Maybe 30 years or so? Remarkable. But again, he's the guy who's pioneering the neuron connections, pruning apart, and rewiring. He actually, what's the name of his book? I can't remember. But it's on my blog site, actually, you guys. If you go there and punch it, I think I've got 3 or 4 of his books and 1 or 2 of his meditations. And they're just links to where you can get all that stuff at Amazon, right? And I just put them on there because if you hit them and go to Amazon, buy anything, I don't know what they give me, a couple % or whatever of the gross amount. It doesn't matter. It's a place that you can go to specifically get, his books and his teachings. But what Dr. Joe is doing is just, different terms, but in terms of science. Different wording, but it's science. What's the catchphrase that he uses? Demystify. Science can demystify all of this kind of stuff. Well, way back when, we didn't call it science. We just, it was psychology. And we were concerned about how to get people to transform, have transformation into a different personality, so that it was maybe not so detrimental to their life. Maybe they had let's say they had personality traits or disorders or whatever it happens to be. Well, if we could erase some of that stuff, what we're basically saying is taking the neurons and disconnecting them, right? If we could do that, if we could erase that stuff and then put back together new thoughts, healthy thoughts, traits, right? Which is just putting new neuron connections back together. Same thing as they're doing today. The person had a better chance of having a healthier, happier life. And that's the kind of stuff that was going on back then, and that's the stuff that's still going on today, but under science. My curiosity and my interest and my passion, as with a lot of people, it's not just me, I mean, good golly, all these therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists and people that are in the industry, transformation is a big deal. It's change. It's seeing people grow. I love that. I love to see people make changes. Now, it doesn't have to be the kind of big neon sign kind of change, but sometimes in therapy, change is just in little small increments. We see a little bit here, a little bit there, and then they plateau out, and then they come back, and they make some more changes, maybe a little bit in this area or that area, and then they plateau out, and they come back again. That's the way growth used to occur in psychology when you were doing therapy, right? You would expect that kind of behavior with a client. Nowadays, and again, that's where we're at, nowadays what's remarkable is, Dr. Joe in his workshops, I was watching on YouTube his latest workshop in Berlin here recently. He had 1,200 people. They showed the room. All you knew was that there were figures of people way in the back there. 1,200 people. Now, take it one step further. There were, and I think they were identifying one in particular, but there were numerous healings, people getting well, down-regulating old genes, bringing in new genes, their disease gone or going, or they have a handle on making the changes to flush out the disease. Amazing. That's in a weekend, or whatever length the time his workshop is. I'm not current with that, but in a short period of time. And what he remarked on, or as you read through this, it was the whole idea that the change now, the transformation, where we in the past would take, I don't know, sometimes people would keep coming back year after year, 2-3 years, and they would make changes, plateau out, come back, do work, make changes, plateau out, like I had talked about before. Nowadays, with the use of science, they're doing this stuff in a weekend, or a week, or a day, or a morning, or one meditation. That's how fast things have accelerated compared to when we were doing therapy with people. Coffee's cool again, you guys. I don't know what I'm going to do. These cups really just don't keep the heat in, do they? I guess I'm going to have to start using that other silver mug that's insulated. It's decaf, you guys. It's decaf. It's okay. So anyway, transformation. Fascinating stuff. Go read about transformation. I just gave you the last, gosh darn, I started way back in 69, fall of 69 is when I started doing therapy. I just gave you history that goes back that far. I mean, I just pointed out a couple things of how we did stuff back then to get to transformation and how miraculous Dr. Joe and his workshops are today in getting stuff done in a workshop in a short period of time. He's using science to explain and to do the work. We never even thought about that. We were just doing psychology based on what the education taught us and how to go about doing it. And everybody had their different variations, but it was basically the same thing. People would try different things, but it was a long process to get to transformation. People did not change their personalities in a short period of time. I never saw that happen. I never saw that happen. Isn't that just amazing? Out of all those years. I mean, did I see personality changes? Of course. But long, long periods of tedious work for that to happen. And did they stick? Not that often, where they stuck long term. People did not go back and, you have to, when you learn a tool or a technique that's going to, let's say, break apart the neurons and put in new neuron connections, blah, 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 you have to repeat that over and over and over. That's kind of how one of the ways that we learn. Well, way back when doing clinical for myself, people would come in and they wouldn't necessarily leave the office and go and practice the tools and techniques. Did you give them tools and techniques? Of course I did. Of course everybody else did. But it didn't seem like people went home and diligently worked on that. Because when they came back in, there was slight progress being made. And today, people, it's a trend. It's a trend. I mean, people want to be well. I mean, I'm sitting in the park again this morning, and I'm just preoccupied with all the people that are walking, lots of people that are walkers, and runners, and people on their bikes, and people playing basketball, playing volleyball. I mean, people are health conscious today. And they all want to make the changes necessary to live a healthy life, be well, and avoid disease. So, different. I'm going to go home and practice. I don't think 30, 40 years ago I would see this kind of behavior in this park, or any park for that matter. So, anyway, the takeaway is pretty obvious. There, through science, are very specific tools and techniques that you can use to change your personality, and in a short period of time. If you're willing to do the work, meditation obviously is one of them where you can access and be able to make those changes a lot quicker. What else do we have going on this morning? Still trying to get this group together to do meditation. I want to do some training and education along with meditation. And I want to formulate a group. I'm trying to keep it to 12 or under. I got a fair amount of response here a couple days ago. Hopefully that'll materialize. It's taken a little while longer to put it together than I had thought. But if you know of anybody along the eastern slope of Colorado that has an interest in doing this kind of work for transformation, change, contact me. That's all I can say about that, and I'm looking forward to it. Really available to do individual work with people, consulting with people on transformation, meditation, self-healing, energy healing, just all kinds of stuff that we've been working on, through these podcasts and through my blogs and everything. Find me. Here, let me just put this down, because good golly, maybe you guys can't find the number, but phone number, you can text or call. It doesn't matter. Anytime, doesn't matter. 970-443-5111. John Zager, Zegar. Look forward to hearing from you. You can go to my website, johnzager.com. It's all one thing, John Zager. No difference there, .com. And my blog, again, is jzager.blogspot.com. So anyway, that's the podcast for today. Hope you guys have a great day. It's going to turn out to be fine. We've been up in the low 90s here in Colorado, and it's been very, very hot until late in the evening, right around 8:30, 9 o'clock before it starts cooling down. So summer is here, and it's kicked in. God bless everybody. Take care of one another. Look forward to talking to y'all again real soon. See you. Bye.